evening and welcome to On the Block Author Chat, where you're hanging out on the block with unsung heroes of literature. The authors who appear on the show are those who have released the fear and walked in the faith to get their books out, out to their audience. I am your host, publisher Paula P., where the P stands for pusher. Every client who partners with me is pushed out of their comfort zone and into their soaring zone. I've been assisting authors since about 2016, 2017, and have enjoyed every single moment of it. Y'all, it's some publishers in the game that can't stand what they do, but I love it. I love watching authors go from absolutely nothing to something. So when I tell y'all, I'm pushing everybody out of their comfort zone. So listen, we're not going to be before you long. We're going to try not to be before you too long. So we're just going to get to the reason that we are here. We're here to hear from three phenomenal authors. When I say these ladies are bad, these ladies are bad. And I am so excited to have them on the official relaunch of Author Chat. Listen, we used to do this before and we had so much fun just talking with authors about their journey, their hiccups, their stresses, and things of that nature. So guess what? It's back. We're going to do this big. We're going to push out the unsung heroes of literature. And so tonight I'm joined by the amazing Charletta Sanders, Eureka Mason, and Toyonda Bryant. And just to give you all just a brief synopsis of what you're getting ready to get into. Listen, we got Miss Sanders, who is the author of, let me show y'all what she's doing around here, y'all. She's doing big things, okay? She's the author of No Makeup, Unveiling the Woman Behind the Mask. And then we have next, we are going to see that of Miss Eureka Mason. She is the author of, y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? She's the author of My Life Is Not My Own. Listen, that's a whole Zoom by itself. That's a whole conversation by itself. We don't even have to go any further, but we're going to dive into and talk to her real soon about what made her write this book. And then finally, and I don't even want to say finally, but last but definitely not least, we have the amazing Toyonda Bryant, and she is the author of My Pain is My Purpose. Your situation is not your destination. Listen, I don't know if this was a coincidence. I don't know, but listen, I hope that y'all are seeing that these books are all lining up. My pain is my purpose. Your situation is not your destination. Then you got My Life Is Not My Own. And then, of course, Miss Charletta with No Makeup, Unveiling the Woman Behind the Mask. Y'all, I don't even know where to start, but we're going to get started. So many authors, let's just jump right into tonight's episode. Many authors find it difficult to write a book of any kind, but especially a book about their life. So I want each of you ladies, starting with Miss Eureka, to tell me what it was that helped you pick up the pen and begin to write, and how did you know it was time to publish?
Interesting enough, it was just God's timing. It's the best timing. I actually started this project about 4.5, maybe 5 years ago, not realizing that it was going to be my story of healing and deliverance and getting past the pain of my youth and my young adult life. I did not know that it was going to be my healing testimony, my journey of getting past, blaming my past and my history on why I'm not doing certain things and, you know, why I'm going through certain things in my life. And so, believe it or not, about 3 years ago, I thought the book was done and wasn't able to get it published. Just different things was going on. And so I put it on the shelf and just thought, okay, that's where it needs to be. But as we know, but God, there was just some more, there were still some things that he needed to work out and deal with me about and tweak within me. And once God said, okay, now you are ready for your truth to be totally released without you feeling guilty, without you feeling ashamed, then he said, okay, now is the time. And so met, you know, some outstanding people, and, you know, we worked out the details, and there you have it, because we had the title and everything even before the book was actually written. And when I asked God, you know, like, why this title, why this? And when I even read through the book and when I look back over my life, it's because everything that I've been through, it was just showing me that my life is not my own. You know, with everything, my life is not my own, and God keeps us. When he has purpose for us, he keeps us for that purpose. So once I realized that my life is not my own, I am not in control, God is in control, he said, okay, now is the time for you to live and walk in your truth and in your transparency. So that's it.
That's awesome.
All right, Miss Toyanda, what about you?
Well, when I started writing my book, it was a long time ago, but I just never got it published. I was just waiting around to see, because there was more things that I had to get out when I was writing my book. And I think it was a journey that I was already on. So in the midst of me writing my book, I had more journey to go. So by the time I got to the end of writing my book, I was introduced to a young lady to help me publish my book by the name of Ebony Nicole. She helped me publish my book, and she pulled out a lot of things out of me, because even though the book was being done, it wasn't actually, I wasn't actually like really pulling the stuff out. Like she actually helped me really get it out and get out more, to where I realized I had to go in dark areas of my life. And that's why the book is called My Pain Is My Purpose, because everything about that happened to me from childhood up until adulthood, it was a purpose for my life. So that's what made me get into it and say, you know what, let me just write it. First, it was scary to actually talk about what you really went through. It's like you don't want to really put certain things out there, but how are you going to help anyone heal if you don't tell the true story of your story?
Right.
Now that I can say that is so true. And a lot of authors, and I'm glad that you were able to see that. A lot of times authors are ready to write a book, and the first question that I typically ask them is the book ready to be written? Because some of our books, they're in us, but the journey is not complete.
That's
right.
For a book to be published. And so sometimes we think that, oh, I'm moving too slow on releasing this book. Why isn't things happening? And a lot of times it is because that book isn't complete, because there's a process in you that hasn't been completed to be able to pour into your audience. So Miss Charlotta, I'm going to ask you that question, ma'am. It's your turn to answer the question.
So I started writing my book back in 2015, and I was still writing in a very angry place. I would tear paper up. I would be writing so hard. It took me having to go to counseling. So once I went through counseling, I felt like I was ready to write the book. My laptop got misplaced back in 2019, and I was just over it, and I said I wasn't going to write anymore. 2020, God kind of kept pressing it on my heart that it was time. I was healed and I could write in a better place. I wouldn't have writer's block every 2 seconds, and I would be able to get it out, and my readers would understand it from a place of healing versus in a place of bitterness and hatred. So I got it out, and I started in January, March, and I was able to publish it. I did meet this amazing lady named Felicia. She was one of my coaches that get the process started, and she started from start to finish. And I was able to release my book on my birthday, June 9th. Yay!
Yay! So let me back up and tell y'all a little bit about Miss Charlotta. See, y'all gonna realize I'm like the queen of like your friend, your petty friend. So
Yeah,
y'all, right before the live started, she inboxed me and she was like, "So what's gonna happen? I'm so nervous." Da 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 da. Y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't hear no nervousness in that. Baby girl just
I told you we got to flow. We got to flow.
In the flow. That's right.
and I told them that you just gotta flow, and that's how life is, and that's how writing books are. You just have to let it flow. There's a book that I'm writing. Matter of fact, let me not tell that lie. I ain't even started writing the book. I got the title to it, but it's because I'm not done with the process, and I understand I have to finish the process before I can actually release it to my audience. So that was really great that all of you all said similar things about, you know, having to be completed with that process. And then what I do love is that each of you was able to connect with a publisher that took their time with you, and not only took their time but saw what was inside of you and was able to birth that out. Those are my type of publishers, not ones that just want to push you out there just for the sake of pushing you out there, but those that understand that that type of thing takes time, you know? So here's my next question to y'all. In the process of your journey, what roadblocks did you face? And I'm just gonna throw some questions out there and you all can just answer. I'm not gonna isolate anybody. But before we go there, y'all know y'all let me slip, right? Because we forgot to do your introduction. So that I am gonna do, because people need to know who they talking to. But listen, that's the whole thing with On the Block. Y'all know, for those that don't know, writer's block is actually not the it's the block. It's a safe place for authors to come and hang out. So it's an enjoyable time where we can just like when we were growing up. I don't know how old all of y'all are, but those that are old enough to know, when we were younger, we would hang out on the block, and there wouldn't be a really particular flow of anything. It was just kind of like, okay, so and so start a conversation, and then we'll jump back to something that happened a couple years ago. So this is how we gonna flow, just like we on the block back in the day. So let's back this train up, and we're gonna get some introductions going so that people know who they're talking to. So we are going to start with Miss Toyonda, and then we're gonna hit up Miss Mason, and then we're gonna bring up the train with Miss Sanders.
Okay, I'm Toyonda Ryan. My book is My Pain is My Purpose, which is Toyonda Simone. I have a clothing store online. I also have a makeup line. I started writing my book just because I was going through so much in life, and I wanted to share my story with everyone, so that everyone know that your situation is never your destination. It's always more to go. It's always things that you're going to go through that you're going to actually learn from to help someone else in life. So that's it.
Well, hello everyone. And since we backing up, I'm Eureka Mason. Yes, I'm Eureka Mason. And as Miss Paula has already said, my book is My Life Is Not My Own. I am working on a new project, but I'm keep that under my hat for right now. I was able to write my book, My Life Is Not My Own, again, like everyone has pretty much said thus far, as just part of my testimony to let someone else know that regardless of what you go through, you are not alone, and you should not feel guilty, ashamed, bad, or anything else for the things that you go through to be who God has created you to be.
Mm.
So again, hey everyone, I'm Charlotta Denise. I am the author of No Makeup. I'm also the CEO founder of Cover My Sisters. I'm a single mom's advocate, wife advocate, and also a youth advocate.
That's all you got for us. I'm gonna let you have that one.
And I'm a mother of 7 beautiful, amazing children, 4 boys and 3 girls.
Oh,
wow, look at you.
Right.
Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that in there real quick.
looking like she ain't birthed out now, child nowadays.
Right.
So yeah, ladies, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is, I told y'all, I felt that this was going to be great. I just knew that this was going to be a great opportunity, and this is the right time to just sit and talk with some unsung heroes of literature. And I just really, I can't thank you all enough for taking this time out of your day to be here. So we're going to jump back into the conversation. And again, I'm just going to throw some questions out there, and whoever wants to answer, just jump right on in, and we're just gonna flow. We're just gonna let this flow, and it's gonna end how it ends, and it's gonna get the people the information that they need. So my first question is, what roadblocks did you face writing the book?
Well, what roadblocks I faced with writing my book was being able to express myself. Got to that point where you were scared to tell certain situations when you needed to tell the situation in order for them to understand why you're saying what you're saying. So when I got to certain parts of the book in my life, I was like, do I really want to share this? But I'm telling you something, but you're not going to understand what I'm saying unless I actually tell you how I got there and what happened for me to get there. So that was like pretty much a roadblock for me because I was too scared to actually voice what was really going on, to tell you why I'm telling you to do this and do that.
How did you overcome that roadblock?
I actually overcame that roadblock once I got in contact with the young lady who helped me. As I said, her name was Ebony Nicole. She's a publisher in New York. She actually helped me. And what she did was actually the things that I talked about in the book, she would actually question me about those things. And when she questioned me about those things, I actually flowed more with what I was actually trying to say. So basically, I just opened up the whole road for her to actually make me understand that in order for me to write this book about my pain is my purpose, in order for me to write this book, I had to give them the details of what really happened for them to understand what I was trying to tell them in my story.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I will, and kind of just to piggyback, I was able to, my biggest roadblocks was basically me and fear. I had that fear of the backlash of, because I'm telling my truth. So everything in that book is not nice, it's not cute, it's not warm and fuzzy. It is taking the Band-Aid off of some wounds. It is exposing some, demons and secrets, in the closet. So I had to, heal and trust God and, trust those that he had put in my path to help me walk this thing out, to say, okay, you're writing this so that you can help someone else heal, and it's going to be okay. You have to be okay with your truth, and then you have to be okay and strong enough to handle any and all backlash that may come from it. So had I released it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when I wanted to, it totally would have backfired because I wouldn't have known how to handle, the backlash and the, oh, you got to be lying and this can't be true. But now, when those hits come, I'll be like, take your best shot. It's all good. I tell you no lies. That is my truth. You can take it or leave it. To God be the glory, and let's move on. So that was one of my biggest, like I said, that fear of, the backlash and who or what I might lose in the process of releasing that truth.
So mine's is so much like both of theirs. I kept very quiet until the book was almost about to be released. So now I'm actually in the process of going through, I've lost a lot of people as far as my book, whenever you're telling your truth, other people's stuff kind of comes out in that process of you sharing your story. My family is very upset with me. I had some family members, they kind of sabotaged my book before other people could read the book. So it is really, it has really been very mind-blowing, and I would say, and it's really been the grace of God that has kept me and has continued to keep me through this process of family looking at you funny, or acting like they don't remember what I wrote in the book, or acting like they don't remember what happened, or how that I don't it's been very weird. That's all I can say. It's been very, very weird, and it's hurtful. I will say that also. It's very hurtful, but I'm continuing to walk in my truths, and I would encourage anyone, even a part of the book is to walk in your truths, even if you have to walk by yourself. You may have one person mad at you, but you bring in 10,000 people out, out of bondage, out of being broken and hurting. And that's what it's all about. I have 7 children, so it's not about me. It's about, I'm not going to bleed into my generation. They will come from a healed mother. So I had to continue to tell myself that every day that, I know my mom's going to be mad. Or I know my father is going to be upset. I know my sister may not talk to me again. I understand my brother, we may not ever speak again. But eventually God will change their hearts, and we'll get it together. I still love them, but I have to go on this journey and do what God has told me to do. So whenever you put a life book out there, those are the consequences that you may have to run up on also.
Now that is true. And I'm glad, and I thank you all for your transparency, because and that's the whole point of hanging out on the block, having authors chat with unsung heroes of literature, because at the end of the day, authors that are coming up, and even those that are published now, they understand that, or some of them don't understand that there's things that come. Let me just be honest, there's warfare that comes with anything that you do that's going to expose the demons and those things whether it's in your bloodline, whether it's in your own past, whatever the case may be. When you're telling your truth, you're going to face a lot of things. And it's kind of unfortunate that sometimes that backlash comes from our own family. But the truth of the matter is, one thing that I loved about what Charlotta said was, my kids will not have a broken mother, and I will not bleed into the next generation. Those generations that came before us, we all know that they had a tendency to just sweep stuff under the rug, and then we wonder why our kids are fighting demons that we just be like, what? Why are y'all doing this? But it's because so many secrets are under that rug. So I salute you, Miss Charlotta, for being that type of woman, because a lot of people don't understand how important it is to make sure that our children are being raised in healthy environments. And so, yeah, I just take my hats off to each one of you for facing what ultimately can be looked at as a fear, because a lot of times we don't release those tell-all books because of the fear of the backlash that's going to be had. So I'm going to take a moment to stop right here and just let everybody know that's watching. First of all, thank you all for joining us. It does our heart well to know that you all are supporting this endeavor. If you have questions, feel free to jot them down in the chat room. In the chat, we don't have a chat room, but in the chat, maybe that's coming soon. But until then, if you have questions that you want to ask these amazing young ladies, these phenomenal queens, as I like to call them, be sure to post it, and I'll be sure to ask them live right now. Some of the comments that we've gotten, is someone said, walking your truth. They're telling you all to stay prayerful. Another person said, yes, walking your truth, even if you have to walk by yourself. And so you all, of course, they're supporting you, opening the show. They said congratulations to each of you. So I'm just glad that you all are here. So we're gonna keep this train moving. So my next question is, and it's not even a question, I'm gonna give you all about 30 seconds to a minute or so to actually tell us about your book. Do a 30-second ad for the book that you've written, and then we'll go back into the Q&A. So we're going to start with Miss Eureka. Let her go first, and let's talk about this book that you wrote, that the audience is seeing on the screen, called, let me get it there first. All right, let's talk about your book, ma'am, Miss Eureka. My Life Is Not My Own. Let's tell the people about this amazing book.
So this book right here is just I think for me, the cover kind of just says it all. God's hand just extending and me having to just bow down and surrender everything to Him. This book is a labor of love, healing, deliverance, compassion, non-judgmentalship, just so everyone can know that no matter what you go through in life, there's a purpose behind it. As we say, if God brings it to you, He will definitely help you through it. But as we've already said, we must first accept our truth and know that it does not make us any less loving. It doesn't make us any less godly. It doesn't make us any less righteous. And as my sister already said, at some point you have to say the buck stops here. Those generational curses stop here. I will not be held prisoner to my past. And that's what my life is not my own is about. It's my testimony of being able to survive the physical abuse, mental abuse, not having the parents that I thought I should have, dealing with depression when even working in ministry, dealing with depression and hemorrhaging, all over the place. But people was labeling me as antisocial and, being moody and being wishy-washy and being a flake and all these other things, when even in ministry, I was hurt and broken and dealing with depression. There are words of encouragement in the book to let you know that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Don't let anyone judge you or make you feel bad because, okay, you're in ministry 10 or 15 years, just because you're not moving as fast through the process as they did. Your process is your process. And God will heal you and deliver you and set you free in His time. So just go through the journey and know that you are not alone. And if I can do it, you can do it. And if we got to do it together, then by George, let us do it together. We don't want to be victims. We want to be victorious.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So my question to you, Miss Eureka.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing that stood out when you were talking, now the title of your book is My Life Is Not My Own. That's a powerful title within itself. Did you find that there was another level of surrender in writing the book?
I did, because like I said before, I thought it was done and ready to do what I thought it was supposed to do like 3 years ago, but it wasn't, because I had not totally surrendered and I had not totally healed. I had dealt with things, on the surface, but we hadn't gotten to the root cause of why certain things happened or why I was feeling certain ways. There was still those, as we call them, trigger words and situations that, will make that gangster want to come out, make you want to slap somebody. And you'd be like, okay, like I just went from being cool, calm, and collective at a 5. Now I'm at 150 and I don't even know why. So it had to wait until God said, no, baby, you going through the process, you almost there, but you're not quite there yet to really own the fact that your life is not your own. So even with that title, I did not know it was going to be a book. I just thought that was something that the Holy Spirit was dealing with me about in that particular season that I was in. But I always held on to that, because before all the words for that book came, the title and the cover came. So, like I said, when God got a plan, He gonna work that plan out. He just waiting on you to get on board and let Him do what He gotta do and own that fact that life is not our own.
That's so true. I'm gonna take this over to Miss Toyanda, and we're gonna talk about, ma'am, we're gonna talk about your book. this powerful little book. I hate to use the word little because it seems as if I'm belittling your work, your masterpiece, your story, and that's anything. I never intend to belittle anyone's masterpiece. So let's talk about your book, and just give us that 30-second to a minute. Just flow. Just tell us about your book. Let's talk about My Pain is My Purpose. Your situation is not your destination. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so my book is My Pain is My Purpose. Is your situation, not your destination. It goes back to what Eureka just said. Because on the back of my book, my snippets is most like telling you that my life is not my own, it belongs to God. And so she wrote the book that she wrote. It seems like it's just the same thing that I went through as well. Worrying about, trying to get it out there and trying to see what people's gonna say. But it's more of my life and not trying to, how I want to put it, my life, and just saying that, whatever you go through in life, it's not about you. It's about how God wants you to portray it to someone else. Everything we're living for, not just ourselves, we're living for others as well. And people don't understand it, because some people be feeling like as if, oh, this is my life, I can do what I want to do. Yes, you can, but it's the way God wants you to portray your life as well. We live a hard yet joyful life, but at the same time, it's because you want to be fulfilled of the hopes and then embrace it all and through God's eyes. And the thing is with that is just that we as people deal with every situation different. So your story can be similar to my story, and my story can be something you like, oh yeah, I dealt with that, but how did she deal with it? Or how should I deal with that? Because it'd be totally different. You may see it another way and I may see it another way, but it may have worked for you, or my way may have worked better for you. It's more about just learning to understand that every pain you go through, you're not just going through this pain for no reason. It's the reason behind everything you go through. And that's what becomes your purpose in life.
Okay. And what I like about everyone, what I like about your book is that when I was a little bit younger, because y'all know I'm only about 15 or so, right? So when I was a little bit younger, I used to have conversations with individuals, and individuals would make you feel as if where you were right then in that moment was where you were going to be forever. And
Right.
I always have to tell myself, and I have to tell that individual, my current situation is not my permanent destination. And so I was, even in those moments, I was encouraging myself, because people will speak over you and make you feel like life will never change. They'll speak over you and make you feel as if the decisions that you've made up until a certain point in life are going to haunt you for the rest of your life. So these first two, matter of fact, all of these ladies, I keep telling y'all, these are some phenomenal queens that are on the show tonight. My pain is my purpose. Your situation is not your destination. And then we got Miss Charlotta Sanders, this amazing young lady right here. Go ahead and give us and tell us about your book. I love it. No Makeup. I love it. Just love it.
So No Makeup, of course, is a life book. I share my story. I talk about generational curses. I talk about soul ties. I talk about everything that I went through from a little girl to adulthood, basically why I am the way that I am, why I respond the way that I respond to certain situations. I talk about trigger points. I speak a lot of important and very encouraging nuggets inside the book. I talk about the importance of going to counseling is necessary to go. A lot of times in the Black community, we think that it's whatever happens in the house stays in the house. That is not a good analogy. I don't know who came up with that, but that is not healthy. I talk about that in the book. It is an amazing book. I take my makeup off. You know, a lot of us, we live behind the mask. We live behind dressing up, looking good for the world, so they don't see what we're really battling with. So I take all my makeup off and I reveal my truths.
That is so awesome. And that's one thing that sometimes we don't understand, is that we have to take off the makeup. And when we have the makeup, if we just look at the scenario, And that's why I say I love how all of you all's books just come together, because even in understanding that our life is not our own, and understanding that there's pain in our purpose, and our situation is not our destination. In order to get to that point, we got to do what Miss Charletta's book tells us to do. We got to take the makeup off, and we got to unveil who we are behind all of the hair done, nails done, everything did, the fresh clothes, the Gucci product, the Timbs, whatever. We got to come from behind. Listen, I'm old school to my core. So now in my head, I'm thinking we got to come from behind the independence of being a person, the independence of being a woman. And there was an artist out there, and he had a song that spelled out independent. I'm not going to do it, as much as my soul is like, go ahead. I'm not
Wasn't that
gonna
Beyonce?
But it wasn't Beyonce, it was another guy, because he said INDEPE.
That's Beyonce.
No, it's another person that did. It's a guy that did it
Really?
first. Yes, it's a guy. And when I tell y'all,
Wow.
a lot of us have taken in that independent. I'm an independent woman. I got all of this, but on the end, that's the makeup that we wear. And so once we take off that makeup and really unveil who we are behind the mask, some of us are so broken. Some of us have dealt with rejection for years. Some of us have dealt with low self-esteem for years, but we don't know who we really are behind the makeup, because society has told us you're a strong person and you got to keep pushing. Who are you living for? What's your why? And I get that, but why not, in living for my why, can I take the example from my sister Charletta and make sure that I'm a healed mother, make sure that I'm a healed daughter, I'm a healed auntie, I'm a healed whatever, so that the generation that comes behind me doesn't have to take their makeup off to reveal who they are. Before they put it on, they already know who they are, and the makeup just enhances them instead of covering up the blemishes that is behind it. And so I'm going to take a pause for the calls, because that's a whole nother conversation. But we have to understand, again, before we can surrender our lives, and before we can understand that our pain was actually for our good and it wasn't for us to stay stuck, we got to take the makeup off. But we have some questions in the chat room. I keep saying chat room, y'all. We must go get it.
It must be coming.
We have to speak those things that be not as though they were.
Right. So
Exactly.
The Lord is talking to me tonight. We got something big on the horizon. Okay, so here's some questions that we have. The first question is, can the author speak about how they overcame? And I think I know that Miss Toyonda did speak on that, how she overcame, and that was through the help of her publisher. So the question to the other two young ladies, how did you all overcome? I just lost the question. How did y'all overcome? We just gonna drop it like that. How did y'all overcome?
Overcome what obstacle?
I guess the obstacles that we were just talking about, because it just said, can the author speak about how they overcame? So overcoming whatever it was that you were dealing with in life before you were able to write the book is what I'm thinking you're talking about.
I would say for me, I had to go to counseling, and I had to accept the fact that, Charlotta, you are not okay in your mental state. And in order for you to actually be able to get your verbiage out in a way of your viewers to understand and to relate, is that you have to heal. So I had to go and lay on the couch. I laid on the couch and I talked and I talked and I talked, and I had to get it out. And then I started to write. So I could write better in a place of healing, because it is sometimes you can't just sit and not be okay. Whenever mental states, we all have mental issues in some state, and some depending on your season that you're in. And I was in some really bad places, and I had to go and talk to somebody, and I had to get this stuff out. Once I got it out, I was able to write. So I would say that I'm going to talk with someone was how I overcame.
Okay, Miss Eureka.
I think for me, it was kind of a little bit in reverse. I had to get to a place where I became sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had to ask myself those hard questions. And I went to God with those hard questions. Why do I feel like this? I thought that, you know, I was over A, B, and C. Why do these issues keep coming back up? And it got to a place where God was just like, if you really want to know, I'm going to show you. And as he began to show me, I began to write. And I realized that in the process, when I got to a place of where I didn't, or I wasn't ready to cross that next hurdle, I would stop the writing.
Mhm.
And then as I continue to, you know, grow spiritually, and as I continue to read the word, and as I continue to pray, just different things, and, you know, mentors that I've had in my life, my personal, you know, confidants and, you know, counselors or whatever, they would see, you know, different things and kind of start that dialogue. And as I would begin to open up and allow myself, you know, to trust people enough to share what was going on with me, then I was able to, you know, overcome and say, okay, I have to do this. You know, I need to do this, that this is part of my healing. In order for me to be okay, in order for me to overcome, I have to get this done. So there were a lot of mediums that took place in order for me to actually get the book completely written and out for publication. But I think the biggest thing was realizing and accepting our truth, you know, or accepting, you know, my truth was the biggest part of actually overcoming and fully, you know, overcoming it. So I think that truth, realizing and accepting that truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, owning it, accepting it, and overcoming it.
Toyonda, I see your hand.
I also, yes, well, I was saying, also when you were saying that how you overcome it too as well. Yes, my publisher did help me, but also with prayer and asking God to seek you through it during the time of you writing. Because a lot of times I would wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and there'll be things in my spirit that need to be said. And I would start actually writing my book. Like it's like it'll be stuff that I was stuck at. And I would just start writing my book. 3 o'clock in the morning, I would have my phone with the notes and writing things down about what I need to talk about. They're all just back. Because sometimes you have a writer's block because you try to block out so many things that happen in your past, and you try to block it out for so long that now you have to reactivate it. And when you try to reactivate it, it's like, how do I say this? Now I'm stuck because I don't know how to say this without offending someone. Like Charlotte said, people get upset, they get mad. But then if you're telling your truth, why are you so mad? Because if it wasn't so true, you won't be so angry. So that's another reason as well. Like
That's true.
you know, so at the end of the day, so yes, it was a lot. It did go through a lot, but with the prayer of God and letting God see you through, I think that's the best way you can overcome your fear as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so true. Thank you, ladies, for your honesty and your transparency. Y'all know sometimes in our community, it's a shame for you to say that you went to therapy and laid on somebody's couch, or we don't
I
always
play on that couch every Tuesday.
With no problem.
You know what, Miss Paula? And I think that is part of the problem. I think I even have that in the book somewhere, that's part of the problem. You know, like we said, you know, back in the day, that's how it was. What happens in this house stays in the house, and you know, you don't talk your business and you don't tell your business, and everything is fine and dandy, especially if you go into the church, you know, 4 and 5 times a week. All is good, nothing is wrong. Right. And so I think that is a big part of it, is to tell the truth and be transparent about it. If it happened, own it and keep it moving. So I think in this season, that's where a lot of people are. They need that truth and that transparency to say, okay, yes, it happened, but you don't have to stay stuck in it. You can overcome it and you can keep on moving. Use it to your benefit. You know, right. So I think that's a big part of it. You know, you got to own it and
own it.
Transparency. Yep, it is what it is. So there's another great question that's in the chat room. Keep saying chat room. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna own it.
We're gonna have to work on that. Yeah, we're gonna have to work on it. We're gonna have to work on it.
Eureka just said we gotta own it, so I'm gonna own this chat room that's coming, okay? And then y'all can say we was there when she talked about having this chat room.
That's right. That's right.
So the question that continues to stick out in the chat says, were you all relieved mentally after releasing your books? Can you finally breathe now?
Absolutely.
I can, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. My book was my healing. And Lord knows, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think so too, because you didn't talk about it. You kept it aside. So now that you're getting it out, and not only you telling the world about what you're feeling, just not on paper, and it's just that you can see. Everyone is seeing it because now you done published it to the world. So not only that, you're healing other people as well. It's just not about yourself. It's about healing for other people as well. But the more you pour out, the more you let it out, the more you dig in that path and you let it out, it becomes more healing.
I feel like a new person. It's just like, it was like literally, it just came off, and reading the responses of other people that have read my book. It's just like, God, I'm glad I listened to you, even though it's still painful not being able to talk to my family like I would love to. I still feel great. Like I still have a peace, and I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm thankful, and I'm so glad that I did it.
Yes. Now that's what's good to hear, is that you're happy that you did. Because my next question that I was going to go into, and again, those of you that are listening, again, welcome. Of course, I can't greet everyone individually, but I do appreciate everyone that is watching. We appreciate you, because this is not about me. This is about the unsung heroes of literature that we have on the show tonight. Well, that was one question that I was getting ready to ask. Does anybody have any regrets about releasing their book? Anybody have any?
None.
I don't have a regret, but I do wish, I don't have a regret, I'm sorry, but I do wish that I would have let my family read the book first. I do wish that I would have done that, because it was such a shocker to my mom. Man, her blood pressure went up, like crying. I mean, it was horrible. And I wish that, I know that I talked to them about the book. Maybe they all of a sudden don't remember, but I wish that I would have sat down and let them read the book before I released it, before I published it. I will say that.
I can say that as well too, but at the same time, it's like, if we would have went that far and let them read the book, do you think you would have changed your mind and read
Release?
Okay, because that's what I'm saying. Because some people, if you let the people that's involved in that book, and because that story hurt them so much because of the situation, they will cop out of not writing their book. And that's why I feel like it should be more of, like you say, somebody that's nobody, just somebody that's outside that's trying to help you with it. But some people say, like you say, whatever, I'm still write it. Some people have that. But if you don't have that heart, just be mindful, if these people don't like it, how are you gonna take it? How are you gonna react to it? And if you can't accept still publish your book, don't do it. Don't let them read it, and just go ahead and publish your book, because some people may get afraid because the backlash gonna come before they can even put it on the shelf. So,
and that is true. That is very true.
So I think, like, if you got that confidence to say, okay, that's what I want to do, I'm gonna do it, I don't care how they feel, then yeah, go ahead and let them be like, look, I let y'all know before I did this, but now at this point I'm still doing it. But I just feel like some people may be okay with it, but me, I'm gonna be honest, I want to let my family read it first, because I know my family, they would try to talk me out of it and talk me out of saying certain things, and I didn't want that. So I didn't want them to read it until everybody else read it.
And
so
that's why I didn't do that with what you're saying. That's the reason why I didn't do it. And honestly, I just really wasn't thinking about it. I guess, I don't know what they thought when I said the name of the book was No Makeup. Maybe they thought I was teaching you how to apply foundation. I don't know, but I know that, it's like, come on, guys, we're not getting ready to act like we don't know what I was talking about, and we're not, my family, they really showed up and showed out. That's all I can say. I still love them to death. I know God is going to bring them back, but they really surprised me. They really surprised me. But if I had to do it again, my next book doesn't speak so much about them in the book, but it does talk about the grace that I saw my mom do. And now I understand why she did the things that she did to keep her family, or why she stayed as long as she did stay to keep her family. I get that now, but in the book, when I talk about certain family secrets, family secrets are huge and they're so detrimental to my generation.
Right.
And my generation is, we're the one that's hurting and pain, and y'all sitting over here fake smiling and fake, acting like everything is okay.
Right.
So when you pull the covers back and you speak on some stuff that they thought that you still ain't supposed to know, or how we supposed to still act, but we're grown, so we're supposed
Right.
You're supposed
we
to
don't
still
know
hide
what
it.
we
You
know.
gotta still hide it.
It's just, I don't know. Everybody's grown now, so at this point, it's time to have a conversation. It's time to have that difficult
That grown-up
conversation.
conversation.
Right. Say what you need to say, or you're not going to end up in my next novel, but just it's time for us to know. I have children now. We can't live in secret.
Right.
It's time to reveal the truth, because we are grown. And so whenever I release the things that I did release in the book about my parents, stuff that I've seen, yes, I saw my dad. He was very abusive. I can't unsee what I've seen. So what I saw, so that's what I saw, and it affected my mental state. I got PTSD behind childhood issues, but y'all want me to hide and cover up to save face. Everybody already knows. So it's like, it's not about saving face anymore. It's about healing. You can't get healed in your feelings,
Right, exactly.
And I would just say for myself, like I have no regrets, because it was low key. Nobody knew until it hit the streets. But I thank God that He did prepare me for any, disagreements or backlash, because I did have a sibling who reached out to me, and she was hurt, by some things that she read, and she wanted to know who did what and why, and she was ready to fight. And like I told she was upset and was crying, and I told her, I said, I'm okay, and that's why I had to write the book, so that I could be okay. And if I wasn't okay, I wouldn't be able to share with you my truth. We both, crying, mad, and upset. So I think God, it was definitely a weight lifted, and I definitely would not have changed the way that it was, the way that it was put out there, because I was ready. I was ready for it. God had prepared me for it. So I definitely would not have changed a thing.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Y'all are phenomenal. I'm trying to stay away from a word that's oversaturated now, but y'all are so phenomenal. When I tell y'all, I don't know if anybody's been watching me, but I just have this smile in my soul, because this is, when I tell y'all that each one of y'all, if I had, let me tell you, one, I am going to make sure that I support each one of you all, because each one of your books is a part of my own personal life. Because even if we just start with Charletta's book, I've been, for the past 5, almost 6 months, I've been removing the makeup from my life and coming to grips with some of the secrets that are in my bloodline that cause me to make decisions and behave and do certain things as I got older. And then with Tayanda's book, it's just like and we sometimes hear that phrase, my pain is for my purpose and things like that. But what I love about it is your subtitle that says my situation is not my destination. And so often we get caught up in that moment and think that we're going to forever be there. And I am even more so now than ever, I've come to realize, they always say, well, it's amazing what difference a year makes. I can't even say a year. Y'all, when I tell you, it's amazing how much of a difference 6 months make.
Yes.
Because if I have people that are watching that can tell you 6 months ago, this was not me. 6 months ago, I was in such a broken and fragile state. It was nothing but the grace of God that was keeping me alive. If I tell part of my truth, my kids thought for a minute that I was getting ready to take my own life because it had just gotten that crazy. But thanks to my amazing spiritual leaders and my support team, they've helped me come out of that dark place. Like they refuse to let me stay in that dark place. And it's just like, if anybody watched my page, I think it was a couple days ago, I posted 5 months ago today, my life changed. And when I tell y'all, literally 5 months ago, that day, my life changed. Was it a process? Of course. Am I still in that process? Of course. But I'm so much better than what I was 5 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. Oh, we don't even want to talk about a year ago. Wow.
Girl.
I'm a totally different person than what I was a year ago. And so I think that's why tonight's relaunch episode is so special to me, is because each one of you is a part of my journey. Your book is my written testimony. And it's just amazing what's going on here tonight. And I said, I'm not going to keep y'all longer than an hour. I may have to bring y'all back for a part 2. Because I told y'all, Charlotta, what I tell you, I said, we're going to be on there. It's just going to flow. I got questions, y'all. I got questions. I got a whole script written out.
Wow.
I did it to be prepared. But listen, I understand how this goes. Things just flow. And so we do have another question that I'm going to ask in just a moment. You know what? No, let's get this last question out, and then we're going to prepare to close. Y'all, let's plan to be off here in the next 15 minutes or so. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, listen, it's all good. But I do understand it's a Saturday night. Y'all got family and all of that, and you got stuff you need to get ready for. So I don't want to prolong your time. So this last question from one of those that's watching said, yes, part 2. So listen, I could do a show with each one of you all individually, because we haven't even tapped into. Again, I have questions, y'all. I have questions, okay? And so I know as they talk, questions are gonna flow. And so, yeah, this has been absolutely great. So the last question that we're gonna take from the chat box is, how did your children feel about your book? So who wants to tackle that first?
Well, my kids were shocked. They were shocked. They was like, they didn't understand a lot of things. They didn't want to read it at first. They were scared to read it. And then when they did read it, they had questions. So I had to be prepared for those questions. And I was already saying in my mind when I got ready to publish the book, I said in my mind, I said, it's going to be questions that they're going to want to know, because it's things that they didn't know about their mother that they're going to know. It's things that happened in my life that they was going to question about. And one of my kids was like, I can't read it. I can't do it, or whatever. And I guess one of them told him something out the book, and it's just like, it was like a little nerve-wracking for them as well. But I was prepared for it. I was prepared to be able to answer any questions they wanted me to answer, to talk them through the whole situation. When it was a question that was asked, I was like, okay. But I had to be prepared for that, because I knew I have 3 kids. And I knew they was gonna ask. They're not little kids, they're teenagers and adults, 23, 19, and 16. So when they read that book, they was really like, they wanted to know questions. So they asked and I answered, but I knew it was gonna be a challenge. But hey, you have to prepare yourself for that, especially when you have kids, because there's gonna be a lot of questions they're gonna ask and want to know, well, why it had to happen. And it was a lot of things that they asked, because in my book it talks about the suicidal, it talks about molestation, it talks about all that. So I knew I have 2 girls. Then they understand why a lot of things they couldn't do as they was growing up, because they understand where I came from at that point as well. So it was very hard, but it helped all of us at the same time.
That's awesome.
I know for myself, I do. I have a 23-year-old girl. And because I know her and kind of like where she is right now, she's not ready for it. So I know she has not read it. So I let her go at her own pace because she is dealing, with some issues, with her father and different things like that. And that's also a little bit of that is also in the book. So I'm allowing her to take her pace. So when she's ready, we got a copy, there's a copy waiting, waiting for her. But she was excited about it. She likes, her mommy is an author. But her mommy is an author, but she hasn't read the book yet. But it's okay. And I think I'm ready to handle, those questions that I know are going to come. I'm sure her list is going to be looking like Miss Paula's, front, back, and side to side. So, I'm just waiting on her, to, and do it in her time, in her stride.
Awesome.
So my children are smaller. My oldest is 14 and my baby girl is 3. Their questions they were very confused on why their grandmother and grandfather was upset and mad about the book. My oldest, he knows a lot more than the children. He has been able to read certain bits of it, and he's like, "Mom, like, what you mean when you say, or so grandpa got other kids, or how are we gonna meet them?" I'm like, "Honey, we supposed to still act like we don't know too, so I don't know if you can meet them or not." We're gonna script that. No, but no, so his questions is, it's kind of been kind of in and out. He's still reading it. The other children are small, they really don't understand yet. I didn't want them to look at my parents in a bad light. I do talk about the good parents that they are now, as far as they are amazing grandparents. So I read that part to the smaller kids, but right now they really don't care. They're just excited that their mom's an author. They're excited to get in the camera. I let them dance at my book signing, and to them, they just feel like, yo, we just made it.
That is amazing. That's amazing. I'm so uberly excited to say that I know these 3 phenomenal unsung heroes of literature, because it takes boldness to write the book, especially, oh my God, especially that tell-all, even if it's a semi-tell-all book, it takes courage. You hear me? And so I understand the warfare that comes with it, the division in the family that comes with it, people not understanding, why you decided to make the decision to tell it all. But they don't understand it's a part of your individual healing. And not only that, as Ms. Toyonda said earlier, listen, I got a whole audience that needs to hear this, because if I don't write my book, and this is what I try to encourage my clients to, if you don't write that book, there's a whole lot of people, even if it's just 10 people, that's 10 people that you're stopping from getting their healing. That's 10 people that you're getting, that's being held in the dark, because they don't think that anyone out there can relate. They don't think that there's anyone out there that's going to be able to understand the psychological warfare, the emotional warfare, the abuse, and all this different type of stuff, the molestation, rape, domestic violence, kids out of wedlock, mama getting cheated on, daddy whooping her butt, but mama sticking around. Why? So they have to understand that this isn't new, and there is someone out there that's going to understand and wrote the story to tell about it, so that they can get that release, so they can begin to get that release, and then go on to do it for somebody else. Because there's a song in the Baptist church that says every round goes higher and higher. So if I share my story, and then the person that it helps, they share their story, guess what? By the time it gets to 2 or 3 levels or 2 or 3 generations, the next ones are coming out healed. They're coming out. They got to worry about the rejection, because they already understand. Well, my auntie went through it, my grandma went through it, my mama went through it, but I ain't going through it.
That's right.
So it's so important. And I'm so proud of y'all. If nobody else has told y'all this year, this month, this week, that they're proud of you, know that I'm proud of each and every one of you for being courageous enough to write the story and do it unapologetically. Your boldness and your drive and your courage, it speaks volumes to every individual that is watching, every individual that will watch, every individual that will pay attention. It speaks volumes. Now, when I say they said that the Black woman is strong, no, I just met 3 of them right here tonight. I just met 3 of them. And let me tell you, Miss Charlotta, I don't know what it is about you, but your boldness, because not too many people gonna write a story and be like, listen, I had to get my truth. I ain't finna, listen, I don't care, cut me off. Because a lot of us are so codependent on our families because that's who we grew up with. That's where we were cultivated and all of, but it takes that one bold person to break that cycle, to break that generational curse and say, by any means necessary, my kids will not suffer from darkness. My kids will not suffer. The next generation will not suffer because of what's up under that rug. I'm snatching the rug, I'm burning it, and we're going to deal with all this stuff that's up under here. And so that's a boldness on a whole nother level that we don't see
Thank you.
today. So I salute you. I salute each and every one of you for just being so open and being so transparent. And I pray that it touched at least one person tonight, at least 2 people tonight, and thousands to come. So in closing, again, y'all remember, because I got to lighten this up because we done kind of went deep real quick. Y'all remember this whole list? We're going to keep going. The list. I'm going to make that my hashtag, the list. So, there's a lot of questions that I could ask you all in closing. But the 2 that stick out to me, well, it's probably 3, but I'm gonna see how this goes because part of me wants to ask all these questions and I just can't. We'll be here till 9:30, 10 o'clock. So the top, so the top 2 questions, because these are questions I can stop laughing at me, Eureka. These are questions that I get asked all the time. So I'm going to ask them to you all because you all are authors that have done this. And sometimes people will receive it better from somebody that they feel has gone through it, even though they don't realize that I've written probably about 3 books, maybe 4. I just don't tell nobody about them, but they're out there. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. But it's just like our kids. You tell them, don't touch the hot stove.
Right.
They touch the hot stove. But then somebody else come along and say, don't touch the hot stove. And they be like, oh, okay. I'm not gonna touch the stove.
Right.
So, that's how people are. So my last 3 questions, I'm just going to do 3. And I'm going to try to do them. Why y'all laughing at me? Like, I'm going to try to do them because we've answered that. So my last 3 questions, answer them in any order that you want to. But one question that I get asked a lot about is around marketing. So the question is, how did you market the book? Are you still marketing the book? And then my other question is, have you been able to create additional streams of income from the book? And then the third and final question that you can wrap up with is, what tips do you have for aspiring authors? So whoever wants to start.
Can I go first so I don't forget?
So that was such a cute accent. Oh my God.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, so how I did marketing, I posted the cover of the book and I allowed people to pre-order, and that took off. Okay, has multiple streams of income. Oh my goodness, I have sold over 3,000 books since June 9th. I actually started dropping off books on June 9th. That's when my books came. They came in the 8th. And then I've had different pop-ups where I would do book signings. I had my last book signing just last Sunday. Amazon has really took off. I've sold about 3,000 books. What I would say to an aspiring author that is trying to start writing, just write. Make sure you do your word count every day and just write. You may not be able to do a lot of talking. You may not be able to tell anyone. Just sit down and just write and let it flow. It'll all come together eventually whenever it's time to go through your publication. But just write, tell your story, walk in your truth, live in your truth. Don't allow anyone to tell you that your truth is not true. That's it.
Okay, so
marketing for me.
go ahead. Go ahead.
And for me, same thing, just posting it. I did a book signing as well for my birthday. It was my birthday last year. I did my book signing. It was my 40th birthday.
Okay.
Okay, you look amazing.
Thank you. Actually, what I did was I actually did the same thing. I actually promoted the book before it came out. I did the copies, pre-order copies. But what we did was we had the book launch. It was a birthday party / book signing. So it was like everybody that was coming, they purchased a ticket. And when they purchased a ticket, it included the book and then other little things I had going on as well. Because like I said before, I do have an online boutique. I also have my lipstick line and all that. So all that played a part in it as well. So combining everything, my extra income for that, it did. But of course, it's also other things I combined with it as well. It did really good. And it's just if you want to write, just write, follow your heart, listen to what God tells you, pray about it, and it's gonna come. If it's meant for you to write it, it's gonna come. And it may not come right when you want to, but it'll come on time.
Yes, sir.
That's good. For me, for the marketing, pretty much the same. I did the pre-orders and then just doing a lot of word of mouth, and then of course, social media. As far as I didn't do my launch because of course, a couple of weeks after the book came out, some personal things, kind of transpired and kind of tried to overshadow it. So that is coming. This is actually my second book, and I'm actually reworking the first book. And so the plan is to get this third item together and kind of package it and just do a relaunch of everything at one time. So we do have some things, in the work, and like Ms. Ryan said, in God's timing, and just take it from there.
So I said 3 questions, but I really got one more. But what I want
Ain't nobody playing with you tonight.
what I want to hit on before that is the first thing that each one of you all said is something that I tell every author. So I hope that tonight, those that have came to me for consultations, I hope that they heard it and it got really deeply implanted in their brains. That one of the key things is start your launch as soon as you have that book cover in your possession. Begin to tell the people about the book. And we're gonna do a part 2 because I'm about to go into a whole nother situation. So before I close out for real, I want to hear from each one of you if you have any upcoming books. I gotta let y'all promote yourselves before y'all get out of here. So let's talk about books that's coming up.
So December, I will be releasing my second book. It's called Married, Filing, Single. Oh, that speaks volume. But
forward to that. Listen.
But yeah, it's called Married, Filing, Single. And in order for you to understand Married, Filing, Single, you would have to have read the first book, which is No Makeup. You have to read that book first to understand what Married, Filing, Single is.
Yes.
So there are a lot of us married folks out here filing single. And it is we talk about Proverbs 31 woman. Everybody want to be Proverbs 31 woman. It's in the book. I'm telling you, make sure you get the book. Because I got a story to tell, sis.
I love it. Anybody else got a book coming up they want to talk about?
Well, I will. Like I said before, because I'm getting this trilogy done. I don't know how God gonna do how he's working out, but my first book, My Cup Runneth Over, I'm doing a rework of that one, and I am in the mentally writing stage, if you will. We kind of have all the nuts and the bolts and the pieces and the script everywhere, but we're working on the putting it together for my third book, which is God has already given the title, which is called Gracefully Broken.
That's pretty.
Yes, Gracefully
That's
Broken.
Pretty.
Yes.
Okay, well, my second book is I'm still in the process of writing it. It's not ready to be published yet, but my second book will be driven purposely. Hopefully, I'm hoping to have it out no later than the summer of next year.
Awesome.
Awesome. That
Rooting for everyone.
yes. And again, y'all are still flowing in that same vein. I don't know, but I see a combined virtual book signing or something to bring y'all three need to do something. I don't know what it is, but that's just the visionary in me. Like I just see something with the three. It's a reason why the three of you all are here tonight, and the stories continue to be unfolded together. So I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to close out, y'all. So I do want to thank each of you for being here with me on the block tonight. So before we go, I promise, before we go, let everyone know where they can find you and purchase your book.
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Toyonda Simone. My book is on Barnes & Noble, the Kindle, and Amazon.
Miss Mason?
I am on Facebook as Eureka Mason, and then the book is at No Self Sabotage Ministries.square.site.
Awesome. And lastly, Miss Sanders.
So I'm on Facebook, Charlotta Denise. I don't have the last name anymore. I dropped it. So it's Charlotta Denise on Facebook, and my second page is Cover My Sisters, and that's also on Facebook. On Instagram, it's firstlady.cs17. And my book is on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. And you can just order your book, and they'll ship it right to you. If you want a signed copy, of course, then you can order it through me and just send me your address, and I will send it to you with the signed copy.
Oh, that's the same way with mine too. I also have some books here as well. You can order from me as well.
Awesome. All right. So if you missed any of their information, it's also in the show description. In closing, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us tonight. Listen, if you are an aspiring author or even a published author who is looking for a safe place to hang out, join us over at the Writer's Block, which is again, it's a group here on Facebook. It's a writers group here on Facebook where there's no such thing as a dumb question. You come in, you ask the questions, you get answers. I'm not in there trying to upsell anything. I simply just want to help my authors to be the best that they can be. So that sometimes it requires you to listen. I don't want a dime from you. I just want to help you. I just want to see you reach your potential. So again, if you are a published author or an aspiring author that is looking for a safe place to hang out, just ask questions, get more insight on being an author, then that's where you need to go. It's head on over to the Writer's Block here on Facebook, and it is also going to be tagged in the show description. Remember, it's a place where no question is a dumb question, and you receive extra special, make sure y'all hear that, extra special care for every stage of being an author. If you are an author yourself, for those that are authors themselves, take a look at what's on the screen. If you are an author and who'd like to be featured on the show, please email us at unsong@speaklifepublications.com. Again, that is unsong@speaklifepublications.com. This show is held every first and third Saturday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So listen, get your spots reserved for August, September, October, November, and we'll probably close out the first week in December, and then we'll come back in 2021. It was a pleasure. Listen, we can't wait to feature you. As you can see, tonight was simply phenomenal. Until next time, you all, keep writing, keep believing, trust the process, and know that you have a friend in the Writer's Block. Come on and hang out with us sometime. You all be blessed. Your audience is waiting. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good.